Imagine you had a clear map that showed exactly what your ADHD child needs to learn, focus, and feel successful. A map that explains meltdowns during transitions, why homework takes forever, or what actually helps at school. An ADHD test, or really a comprehensive ADHD evaluation, can give you that map. And in this video, I'll share 3 must-know reasons why ADHD testing matters, and I'll show you the exact steps you can start today so your child gets help now, not months from now. And if you don't know me yet, I'm Dr. Jacque, and through my therapy practice and online programs, I've helped hundreds of ADHD families feel better and less stressed. So if you're looking for more resources that can help, check out this video's description. Now let's jump right in. If you're feeling like you're not sure what kind of support your child really needs, or that there's just too much advice to know where to start, a comprehensive evaluation for ADHD can help sort that out. This is why the first thing I tell parents about an ADHD evaluation is that it'll help them learn in detail about their child's unique strengths and what's truly hard for them. An evaluation helps you better understand who your child is and what they need, allowing you to tailor the support your family gets, which in the end makes it all feel less overwhelming because you'll have a plan and know how your child and their brain work best. But how exactly will it do that, you might ask? Well, it includes many different things. Taking a complete history, standardized tests for things like attention, impulse control, and working memory, observing a child's behavior during the evaluation or in school, and symptom questionnaires for the child, parents, and usually teachers. Then the provider puts together all of that information and data and draws conclusions about what's really going on for your child. And this goes beyond what your child can just tell you or what you can easily observe. Not only will you get information on how ADHD affects your child specifically, but you'll also learn how they process and understand information, different sensory sensitivities like environments that are too distracting or uncomfortable, academic material that's too challenging or too boring, fine motor skill problems that make writing hard, or how their emotions affect things they need and want to do. You'll really get a full picture of how ADHD and other related problems are affecting your child. And then the provider will give you recommendations and resources that are specific to your child's needs. By the way, while you're figuring this all out or waiting for an opening, you don't have to pause progress. I built my ADHD program to be a helpful resource at every stage of the process. It's designed so you can start right away and know exactly what to do and what to say. You'll get step-by-step practical lessons to handle the hard stuff right now, like morning routines and big emotions. And when that evaluation comes through, you'll already have a strong foundation to build on. Check out the link in the description to learn more. This brings me to the next thing I tell parents about an ADHD evaluation. As you can imagine, ADHD and the problems commonly related to it affect how kids learn and behave at school. But how exactly that plays out can be different for every kid. Why homework is hard for one child could be very different than why it's hard for another child, even when both have ADHD. The other thing, which is unfortunate and I hope changes more in the future, is that our world, especially schools, are not usually set up well for neurodiversity and kids with ADHD. And kids spend so much of their childhood learning and at school. But if that way of learning doesn't match what works for your child's brain and body, it can cause real long-term problems, including a lot of negative feedback that impacts their identity and self-esteem. Making individualized adaptations and accommodations, especially when it comes to learning in school, is really important for kids with ADHD. So the second thing an evaluation helps you to know is what those adaptations and accommodations should be. And this idea that our society and schools are not ADHD friendly by default leads me to the third powerful benefit of an ADHD evaluation. But before I tell you about that, if you're still watching, I'd really appreciate it if you go ahead and tap the like button and subscribe to my channel. It helps spread this video to more families who need to see it, and it's a free and easy thing you can do right now to support the work we're putting in. So thank you for that. Sometimes because of stigma or lack of resources or misinformation, it can be tough to get your child the support they deserve. So one of the most powerful benefits of a comprehensive evaluation is that it gives you a concrete way to advocate for your child's specific needs. Being able to say, here's the data that describes exactly what they need can be really helpful. At the same time, I've talked with many parents who have fears about formal labels. And while I do understand this worry, the stigma and misunderstandings that sadly still exist can sometimes make it hard to know What will happen if others know your child has ADHD? We all just want what's best for our kids and we want to protect them. However, I'd also argue that without a diagnosis, there can be even more misunderstanding about them and even more trouble getting them the support that they ultimately need that would help them feel more successful. I also think naming the things that are genuinely hard as a part of ADHD takes away shame by giving an explanation for why certain things seem hard. You'll have a child who knows who they are and how their brain works best, avoiding having a child who develops a view of themselves as lazy or spacey because of the feedback they get from others or conclusions they draw about themselves. And eventually, when they're older and independent, that official diagnosis gives them a tangible reason to advocate for themselves for the support and accommodations they need then too. And remember that a medical diagnosis is confidential. You and your child choose who and when to share it. So now that you know this, how do you go about getting an evaluation or a diagnosis for ADHD? Who can do a comprehensive evaluation? And what can you do if you don't have access to that or the ability to get one? There are actually several options. Typically, a comprehensive ADHD evaluation is completed by a neuropsychologist, but a clinical psychologist or an educational psychologist might also be qualified depending on their training. Sometimes a comprehensive neuropsych evaluation isn't feasible or possible, or the waitlist is really long. Then you want to look for providers who can complete a diagnostic evaluation, meaning they're qualified to provide a diagnosis of ADHD. The easiest provider to get an actual diagnosis for ADHD is probably your family's medical doctor or your child's pediatrician. They can determine if a child meets formal criteria for ADHD and make recommendations based on their diagnosis. A child psychiatrist or neurologist or a psychiatric nurse practitioner can also make a diagnosis. Another type of provider who can diagnose ADHD is a psychologist or a social worker or a master's level therapist who provides mental health counseling for ADHD. The biggest difference between any of these diagnostic evaluations and a comprehensive neuropsych evaluation is that they're typically not including standardized tests to measure different strengths and challenges. So they're basing their diagnosis on observation, questionnaires, an interview of symptoms, which can still be a really great place to start. And if a diagnostic evaluation isn't immediately possible or feasible either, schools and teachers can be a great resource for better understanding your child's ADHD. While assessments done by a school psychologist at school cannot provide a medical diagnosis of ADHD, they will evaluate for how ADHD impacts your child at school with testing and make recommendations for what will help your child learn and succeed at school. I know getting testing for ADHD is not always easy. Waitlists can be long, and there are just not enough providers that do these evaluations. There are real barriers to access the support you and your child deserve. So I want you to also always remember one very important thing. You are exactly what your child needs right now. You are strong and you can do this even when it's hard. First and foremost, they need you as that loving and caring parent to see them as they are, to love them and value them no matter what. And if you need more support, check out the rest of my resources and watch this video next. It talks about a few simple main ideas about ADHD parenting that you can start using right away. Remember, put your relationships first, and I'll see you in the next video.